Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack. I'm here with Kev and with Ash, and I'm with Matt, whose first podcast back, which is great. It finished Liverpool 0, Forest 1. Liverpool were sloppy, Liverpool were lacklustre, Liverpool were entitled, whatever you want to say, and they rightly got punished. And let's be honest, that Forest, I don't think even played near their best. So, all in all, a pretty shite day, both by the players, the manager tactically. All in all, it's going to be great fun, this. And after a positive 3 games, that's a bit of a kick in the teeth to throw it away like that. Matt, seeing you're back for post-match show, and we're all blaming you because it's the first post-match show you've done since we lost. So that went well.
Yeah. I mean, it is my third show. It's just my first show in my new environs, doing a post-match show.
It's still your fault, Matt. We're blaming you.
I'll take it. Somebody's got to be the Jonas, so I guess I have to.
I can't keep blaming Kev. Oh.
Yeah. No, I mean that gets old after a while. Heaven forbid we blame you for something, but yeah, that was.
I've got plenty on my list.
It was really, really bad. It was really bad. So. It's good for us after the first 3 matches where, there's lots of positives to talk about and everybody's feeling up. It's nice to bring us all back down to earth as a post-match crew to remember how to do these types of shows. So just yay.
Yeah, Ashley, initial thoughts?
Yay was not in my vocabulary for initial thoughts. I'm going to go with learning experience, like big learning experience. And I think that whether that's from Slot, whether that's from the players, I mean, they better take something from this game because that was a waste of all of our time. That was an hour and a half that we're not going to get back. And they did nothing all game. I am astounded that they were that poor. I seriously thought, halftime changes are coming. We're gonna turn it on now, and it got worse. So yeah, I'm gonna go with learning experience. That's about as positive as I can get right now.
Yeah, Kev, me and you messaging each other during the game. I think we were kind of hoping this was more like a bit like the Ipswich game. Going, look, first game after internationals are always a bit slow, a bit lackluster. But you know what? Second half, Liverpool normally get a bit better. But if anything, Kev, we got worse, which was quite an achievement.
At least in the first half, we looked like we were creating chances. Hit the post, forced their keeper to make a few saves, but that was a complete shit show from start to finish. I put it in the chat earlier on. It was entitled FC, and we've seen this show before, and all the hard work that they put in for the first 3 games, 3 clean sheets, 3-0 away win at Old Trafford, was pissed against the wind by poor decision making, poor passing, absolutely no penetration in the final third, just laziness and passing the bucks. It was all of the worst traits of last season balled into 95 minutes, and you hope it's the kick in the arse that they need, but we'll see. Time will tell. But that was bad. That was a terrible performance.
Yeah, but also, Ashley, to be fair, this is also a big wake-up call for the manager, which is this is not being wise after the event. I think we said it Thursday night. I think we also in our WhatsApp group to each other, which was same start of them, 4 games back to back. Surely you should mix up a little bit, give players a run out who basically, we had lads who didn't even go on international duty, get a bit of freshness in, and tactically the subs just did
work. Nothing. They did nothing.
Now some of that we'll come to later, back threes and all that, and it's a bizarre back 3 pick, but also just players who came on to get that opportunity. This is your opportunity. Come on and win the game, or come on and get us back ahead. Did nothing. If anything, the subs made us worse. Which, let's be fair, when you saw the subs come on, they weren't subs you were thinking, "Oh, fucking hell, that's going to make us worse." You kind of went, "Oh yeah, I can see the logic of them. I can see what's going on." Yeah, I see you think how busty Capcom Nunes are. I mean, you know that point, yes, Capcom, like,
Which you sound like you're underwater there, mate, or it might be me.
um, Holland, you know, and he's been used more than Nunes, so I don't think we can use that as an excuse. But should we go through the starting 11? It's literally the same 11 as Man United, and the only change was Jones came in, and for Elliott who's injured. No Chiesa. I think I text Kev saying, "Look, fine, maybe Chiesa's not full up to match fitness, you know, because they're doing a bit of pre-season, but do you really need 4 defenders on the bench?" Ash is ignoring me.
Sorry. No, I was reading Matt's comment about the wind because it's really really windy here. So I'm sorry for the sound interference. But yeah, no. So same 11. I think all of us were expecting changes, at least like 1 or 2 changes just to freshen it up. I mean, there's a few guys that were coming back from South America and, you know, traveling far and wide. And I mean, we heard from Slot in his preseason about, you know, he uses the same 11, or he used to use the same 11 when he was at Feyenoord. But, you know, this is a completely different kettle of fish when you're managing at this level, dealing with the Premier League. Like there's no easy games when you get back from international break. And I don't know how many international players he would have actually had to have managed while he was at his last job. So I do think this is a new thing for him to learn about, like the way the players come back. But I do think he kind of just set himself up for disaster. I think, you know, I'm all for keeping players' fitness up and everything like that. But like you said, there were players that were here working that probably deserve a start and that probably deserve some minutes. And we did not see any of that. And I can't find any sort of person other than Slot to blame for that choice.
Yeah. Matt, first half, we did create a couple of chances. We at least looked like solid, as in like we didn't like we were going to give anything up, and that's why I think, well, I certainly felt it'd be a matter of time second half, but then it all just went to pot a little bit, structure-wise, formation-wise. Play stopped running back. To me, Gravenberch was okay, but I think he was left exposed. You know, sometimes 3v2s. You know, Van Dijk in a similar position as well. You know, just people weren't getting back, and a little bit of petulance because they were getting their own way. Oh, look, they must have known the first couple of minutes. The tone was set with Yates taking players out. So you knew that was the level that you had to go with. And it's just like, you just didn't match their effort at all.
Yeah, I think it was Paul Galligan had a comment in early that said we got bullied in the midfield. And I think it was pretty obvious. Yates was kind of the culprit in chief of that. I mean, rather fitting on a day where, you know, Liverpool pays tribute to our Yates, who passed along, which was a very lovely and touching tribute before the match. I feel that needs to be said because there's not a lot of other positives really to get onto. But in terms of the first half, I thought defensively, I thought we were excellent. Like at halftime, they didn't have, I believe their XG, actually, I don't believe, I know for a fact, their XG at halftime was 0.00. Like they had absolutely nothing. I thought Ibu Kanate and Virgil van Dijk were winning all their battles. You know that Chris Wood can be a bit of a handful. He's a big lug that likes to get around and, you know, use his body to get the flick-ons for the long balls and stuff like that. And I thought at halftime exactly the same thing of like, all right, deal with this like the Ipswich game. We'll make a couple of tactical changes, you know, what might not be personnel, because I thought everybody on the pitch was doing enough. They were doing enough. I thought Gravenberch was quite poor actually in the first half. I thought Szoboszlai was popping up into good positions. I liked the way that both the fullbacks were influencing the game going forward, and we just felt solid at the back. It didn't feel like we were at any risk of conceding a chance, let alone a goal. And then, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how you explain that change after the halftime break, because like I have it written down, we said it before we came on, that there was about a 5-6 minute spell from 35 minutes till about 40 minutes where we had a couple of good chances. It started with Trent almost putting the Olympico corner right in. Then Trent puts a cross in that McAllister gets a head on. Sells makes a good save. And then Sells almost drops a ball into his own goal. And, maybe if Diogo Jota is a little bit more switched on and attacking that ball, a la Divock Origi against Everton style, maybe he's there to prod that home. And it felt like the momentum was building. We kind of had them against the ropes. They were probably happy to get into the halftime break at 0-0. And then, yeah, poor.
Yeah, there's just no real invention, was there? It was. I saw the comment before about the low block, which we'll have to see how that goes with low blocks, but they created enough clear-cut chances first half that unlucky not to go ahead. But second half was nothing about low blocks. It was just slow, and in my opinion, it was just a bit of lack of intelligence. Some of it, because yes, look, players can hit passes. Mo Salah, we'll talk about it. He had a horror show of a game. It's probably the worst game he's played in years. Do you know what? That can happen. But what used to happen, if Mo Salah had a shitter, somebody else would step up, and too many of them went into the shells and either were hoping it would happen by somebody else or went back into being petulant and kicking balls away, giving soft fouls away because someone dared to tackle them. It was just everything about it was just off today.
Look, I don't for the life of me understand why he started the same 11. That was stupid. And
who would you have switched, Kev?
Darwin, 100%. Because of the type of game that Forrest were going to play with a 5-man at the back. They literally sat in a 5-3-2 for the first hour, and we were coasting through the first half. The chances that we created were from crosses mainly. There was no intricate play. There was no triangles. There was, someone will do something and it'll be okay because that's how we do. And for the life of me, I don't understand how you can have Darwin Núñez at the club for the last 2 weeks, sat in his hands while Arne Slot went back to the Netherlands for a week. And what's the point in having a squad when you're going into a group of 7 games in 22 days and you roll out the same 11 that got you 3 results? That's fine. But if you have no trust and faith in the squad, that filters through really quickly. And for me, it was a perfect day to play Darwin. You're at home against a side who you should be beating, a side I think will be fighting to stay in the division. And he literally just tells the whole lot of he literally told the whole squad, this is the 11 I'm picking. Ashley was right when she pointed out the Eredivisie. You're not in the Dutch league anymore, mate. This is a different level. You've got players traveling all over the world, and you've got a much more intense set of fixtures against sides who are capable of beating you and exposing you and pulling your pants down and making you look stupid if you make stupid decisions. And he made a clusterfuck today. It was a massive he made so many mistakes with his decision making that we'll go into it. But for me, it wasn't a case of in the first half overhit passes, underhit passes, heads dropping, not tracking back, not doing the basics. And in the second half, they literally threw the baby out with the bathwater because all of the patterns of play that you expect to see when you're trying to build up play or get back into a game just weren't there. They were non-existent. It was almost as if for the last 35 minutes, we forgot how to build an attack. We forgot how to put a side under pressure. I don't know what to say about that back three. I don't know what to say about it. I cannot wrap my head around what the thinking is behind it, especially given the personnel that he used.
Two fullbacks and a back three is odd.
It
is odd. But also,
it's just bad.
They're also backup. They're backup fullbacks too.
Yeah,
it's not
it wasn't like it was Robertson and Trent. It was
like at least Robertson has played in a back three before. I highly doubt Tsimikas and Bradley have played many games, if any, in a back three together. Not together, but just in general.
Yeah, but also Matt, you said who would you change? We saw last season at times McAllister coming back from international break. He's a slow starter. I'm not surprised. It's a lot of travelling he has to do. So I was expecting someone in the midfield to freshen it up. Now listen, maybe because Jones hasn't had much training, he wasn't ready. But my thinking, listen, I'm just a lad on the internet. If you're going to go with the same 11, sound. But surely the point of going with the same 11 is you want to blow Forrest away and get it won in the first 60, and then you make your mass changes then, because then it doesn't matter. Which look, plenty of managers do. City have done that. Arsenal have done that. Liverpool have done that in the past with Klopp. But we didn't even try and do that. So it was just didn't work. But yeah, so.
Well, I think like as the president of the Channel 3 at the Back committee, this is not how I wanted to see it happen. I'd just like to throw that out right now. All of my calls for 3 at the back, in no world whatsoever did that ever include Kostas Tsimikas. It just he doesn't have enough impetus when you're chasing the game. I know he can put a good ball in, but he just seems so timid on the ball now.
He's not physical enough to be in a back 3. Robson, while not tall, will be.
The back 3 makes no difference because by the time we switch to the back 3, we're 1-0 down. We don't concede when we switch to a back 3. It's all about trying to go forward with it. And I think the biggest problem from today is I don't know what kind of fucking magic force field was at the top of the 18-yard box when we were attacking. That I think every single one of our passes we tried to make entering into their attacking area was the wrong ball. It was underhit. It was the wrong angle on it. It was right to a defender. There were so many times where we get the ball through the thirds and we're coming into the Forrest penalty area. Mo Salah was the main culprit for this, of just terrible passing. And for a team that we've seen it in the first 3 games, can play those cute little intricate triangles even when it's in congested space. It was so baffling that we just had absolutely no end ball. The only good passes that we played were a pair of Travellas, one by Trent and one by McAllister. And that was it. Was kind of miracle outside of the footballs into the box that we ended up getting ahead on, and Sells made a couple of fairly routine saves from it. But from that build-up play, which is what we're kind of expecting with Arne Slot's style of attacking, is instead of being, like that lightning fast, deadly balls that cut teams open on the quick attack, of building up, passing. That was the biggest frustration for me today, was we had enough possession of the ball, and every time we got close to the penalty area, it was wrong.
But for me, if you're going to play a back 3, you have to have width. And it would have been fine if they'd have turned around and said, okay, this is a back 3. We'll go man for man with their front 3. But their front 3, we're going to push their front 3 back anyway. So it's going to be okay. If you had Szoboszlai and Jones as your central 2 midfielders, put Trent wide on the right. Put anyone on the left, because he's going to be coming in on the far post. Play 2 up front. Give their 3 centre-backs someone to look at rather than focusing on one striker. Play 2 up there. You're already 1 down. At worst, you're going to get caught on a counter. So what? You may as well lose the game 2 and 3 trying to get back into it. But from the last 20, 25 minutes, Matt, you keep meticulous notes on the game. I cannot for the life of me remember one real chance that we forced a miraculous save. There was Szoboszlai had a shot that was blocked by Murillo. Other than that, I can't think of too much that we threatened them with at all. It went.
That was the only one.
It went from a 60 minutes where look, you're frustrated, you're annoyed with the passing, to ripping up the playbook and throwing it all out and trying something that looks like none of them had a clue what they were doing. None of them. And someone made a point, I think it was Brian Halloran there. Joe Gomez should have been the sub if you're looking to go for a back 3.
Yeah.
At least if Joe Gomez comes on, you can tell Connor Bradley, who will be in a back 3, look, you jog on the right wing, and we'll lock off as a 2. But if we lose it, get back in to make a 3. But they looked like they had no clue in what they were doing. And that's why we ended up where we couldn't force our way back into it. It's amazed me how being a goal down forced him to change the system and the way he plays completely. With the first sign of adversity, he just threw the whole lot out the door.
We all wanted to see it. We all wanted to see what he would do. Not that. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean. We all wanted to see what he would do when he handled adversity. I don't think anyone thought that was going to be what he would do.
No, I just don't get it. I hope that in his post match he's actually really pushed hard on it, because if he turns around and says, "Well,
anything,"
no,
I haven't seen any quotes from post match at all.
The thing is, because it's not a main TV game today, it's going to be slow coming out. But look, it will come out for sure. On the Forest goal,
it's a great finish. Let's give the guy credit. It is a great finish.
Oh yeah,
and a great ball.
We can talk a bit about how it was avoidable, but we'll give the player credit.
Absolutely,
as a finish, it's in off the post. Allison's no chance.
Allison has absolutely no chance. It's a dynamite finish. But the only thing that I noticed from the replay was after we gave the ball away, there was 4 midfielders and none of them got back. Odoi cut back onto his right foot to try to get his shot off. If whoever was on the right of mid, because I can't say that it was Trent playing right mid or whoever was playing right, whoever happened to be on that side at that time wasn't bursting a gut to get back to try and get a block off. If they did, they might have been able to force him to shoot early. They might have been able to get a block on the shot. But I didn't see any one of the 4 of them bursting a gut to get back.
It's also a bit naive. It's also naive by Bradley, because Bradley should be trying to show him down the line. And then when he cuts in, it's a lazy dangle a leg out, to try and sort of half put a block on it. And he's got no excuse. He's just come on. So it's not like he's like been running around for 60.
Eunice is making the point there that Gakpo should have fouled the Forest player to stop the counter. An awful lot more had to happen, Eunice, by the time it got across to Odoi. I think it was Hudson-Odoi. I'm nearly sure it was.
Yeah.
And we'd had the warning signs of it 5 minutes beforehand when Odoi skinned Bradley and went on the outside of him. And this time, Bradley overcompensated and got done on the inside. But yeah, it was a fantastic goal. It was a brilliant. If there's a better goal score, a better finish today, I'd be surprised. It was an absolutely cracking goal. But the warning signs were there, because as soon as Nuno made the changes, it was we didn't know how to deal with it, and we just went to shit after that. After our changes, it got so much worse.
Yeah,
I can't get over that.
Before we talk about second half, Football Prizes are our sponsor. They've still got a deal going at the moment. Tickets are $2.95. There's 999 tickets, and the closing date is the 24th of September at 7:30. And this is a chance for you to win a 2005 UEFA Champions League final shirt, full squad signed shirt. So, at least that, enter that. You might win that. At least that's something cheery to win. Trust me, Liverpool playing like that, we won't be seeing the Champions League anytime soon, unfortunately. And then don't forget our charity partners, which is Fan Supporting Food Banks in Liverpool and the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin. The aim is to get to 10k and 5k each for each charity. So please give what you can. If you can't give, please share around WhatsApp groups, social media. You know the drill by now. So, Ashley, I think the best chance Liverpool had two real chances in the first half. One Diaz made on his own, which was chasing down Yates, and he hits the inside of the post, bit unlucky. I think we had the McAllister header, and then we had Sells trying to throw it in his own net, which was highly amusing. Would have been proper blooper goal stuff. But second half, I think we created one that got cleared off the line, but I mean, it was a routine clear off the line. It wasn't like it was a desperation one. Have I missed anything?
I mean, I think we talked about the Szoboszlai shot at toward the end that got that crazy ricochet that probably could have gone anywhere. But today it wasn't going to go in the net given our form and our luck. There was a Trent shot around 68 minutes. I don't think there was really much. I mean, if anything, most of the time that we spent in the box was just giving the ball away. Like Matt said, it was just on the edge of the box. And yes, Yates did get booked. The only time he got booked was for delaying the shot at halftime. He should have gotten booked multiple times because he looked like a bully on the playground, just beating McAllister up for fun the entire game.
And as Kev pointed out to me, for the Diaz chance, he handballs it.
Yeah,
in the first
that
half.
too.
He tries to pull it back, so he gets away with it. Onslaught here. We lost the ball so many times in simple situations. That was the story of the game. To be fair, pretty accurate because let's be honest, we never kept hold of it, did we? But Matt, I know you're the eternal optimist, and what was surprising was the subs they brought on. When you saw them coming, you thought, okay, Nunes coming on, Gakpo, yeah, top forwards. Bradley moved to midfield, bit different, okay. They weren't dreadful subs. They just did not perform. I mean, I think the only touch Nunes got was to help set up the corner opportunity, I think. And I generally don't remember Gakpo getting a touch in the game. That's not a slight. I just don't think we even got him in the game, did we?
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of touches. I mean, hugging the touchline out on the left hand side, but like him and Darwin. I mean, Darwin Nunes loses the ball on the edge of the Forrest box, shocker, and then 5 seconds later, the ball's in the back of our net. So, I mean, that was the impact that our substitutes had. Like, it was something that I remember from last season talking about, like how many times we came on these shows and raved about how Klopp's substitutions changed the match. We said the same thing in the first match of the season when he took Kwanzaa off and brought Kanate on against Ipswich, and it changed the game completely. You've got to give Nuno Espirito Santo the credit for that today because his substitutes won that game. I mean, specifically won that game. It was Anthony Elanga playing a gorgeous crossfield ball to Callum Hudson-Odoi, 2 substitutes, and the ball's in the back of the net. And we make our substitutions, and it was ponderous, it was slow, but it's hard to take lumps out of the substitutes when the starting 11 were all the same. They all had the same issues, just being too slow on the ball, too casual with the ball, and just losing it in possession. So there was somebody there early, I think it might have been Bob Paddock at the start of the show, said that, it would have been a good game for a player like Harvey Elliott. Like, yeah, well, now he's got a busted up foot. So, I mean, that's not something that we can deal with. But yeah, it was
as many
like
managers say.
You guys are saying like we should have made some changes to the starting 11, but I mean, you see the players that come in off of the substitutions bench, and I know it's a different game when you're coming off the bench versus when you're starting from the off. But none of those players that came on as substitutes put their hand up and said, "I need to be in the starting lineup."
But surely, like, they could have at least had an impact in like a defined setup. I think that if Connor Bradley and Tsimikas had played in a defined back four from the start, and then you decided to bring on Trent or Robbo, put Robbo in the back three, or put Gomez in the back three, put players that actually know what the hell they're doing in that position. If you're going to experiment mid-game, which you're losing and you have no control, you're losing the control as the game progresses, and you're going to throw in players that have never played that role ever, probably in a professional match. Like, do that in training. Don't do that when you're losing at Anfield.
Yeah. I wonder if there's an underlying issue with Andy Robertson's fitness, because that's 4 games in a row now that he's been subbed off for Tsimikas.
I just think that's a tactic he uses because
you could say the same thing about Trent.
That's a shit tactic. If your tactic is to bring on Costa Tsimikas, because I thought Robertson actually provided a lot of good attacking outlet. Like, he seems to be picking up inside channel positions in the attacking third quite often and making those runs and getting into the box. Not the player you want in the box with the ball at his feet, but at least he's adding something to it. Whereas Tsimikas is just so slow, and all the momentum when the ball gets to him just disappears. So I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I agree with the tactic, but this is one way they'll talk about how you rotate side and get minutes. Is either you rotate the side or you stick to a fairly similar starting 11, but you have predetermined you're banking certain games do 60, certain players do 30. Whether you agree with it or not is another matter. Onslaught says it's a big setback. Normally, this team is not ending in the top 10, so if you lose against them, it's a big disappointment. No shit there, really. Slaughter's also put, I want to see the same energy every day after a big win, draw, or loss. We go to work again tomorrow. Okay. I mean, I think that's his way of saying, don't get too high when you win, don't get too low when you lose. He's obviously going to have to try and downplay this as a one-off. But I suppose, actually, if you want to try and be positive or try and find a positive, this is a big early setback early on. So what we hope is this now wakes a few players up and goes, right, there's a certain level you've got to achieve, and if you don't achieve it, we're out the door, and we ain't doing anything this season. But obviously, the other way is that could just be what Liverpool are, which is 3 games are good, and then we're going to throw in one of these every now and again. Which, if we are, then there's going to have to be changes.
Yeah, I mean, I said learning experience at the beginning. For me, that was more with relation to Slot. I think you can give him a little bit of leeway and be like, okay, well, he's figuring out the system. He's figuring out how to manage an international break, all of those things. I think the thing that bothered me the most was the attitude. And Kev made a couple of references to this in our chat. Like, that to me is not a learning experience moment for the players. Like, the players did this last year where they didn't show up to games that they thought they were going to win. And I understand that they're tired. They've come back from international breaks, but I just didn't see, I mean, maybe it's just because they're tired. Maybe that's what it is. But like the lack of energy that they put into that second half and the lack of tracking back on the goal and all of these things, it just, that to me needs to be nipped in the bud right away. Like, I don't have any patience for that long term for learning purposes. They need to get that out of the team, because there were so many times where we lost games in this exact kind of manner last year. And the last thing I want to see is that being brought into this year and becoming like a toxic trait that we carry forward.
What I don't want to see, Matt, is we start turning into what we used to do with Man United, which is apology tweets. We'll try harder next time. Don't worry. This is a one-off. Yeah, I don't want apologies. I don't want any of that bollocks. I want LFC players to know that's not good enough and react. And then next time because this will be the nervousness now around Liverpool fans, and I understand it is. Right, first time we went 1-0 down with half hour to go, we didn't react. No. In fact, the manager reacted poorly. We're now going, well, we're going to play better sides than Forest. What are you going to do if you go 1-0 down again? Because it's, this is now, we now need to see something positive that if we ever do go 1-0 down again, what's he going to do?
Yeah, it's certainly don't want to see a flurry of Instagram posts and tweets from our players apologizing. I wouldn't be upset to see one of the leaders of the team doing a post-match interview just saying that was a shit performance and we all need to do better as a team, because I think that's the sort of performance that, like, there might be some tactical issues. Like, I think you could pretty easily say that Nuno outcoached Slot today. And I think in the first 3 games, you would say that in the coaching battle that Arne Slot won the first 3 battles that he had. And then come number 4, and he got done pretty bad. And especially when you saw the way that Slot talked about the tactics against Man United after the match, it seemed so positive. Of like, man, look at how smart this guy is. He's so clever. He's so clever. So there might have been some tactical issues there, but it was just an attitude. It was an attitude and application thing from all the players. And that's where you need your Virgil van Dijks, your Trent Alexander-Arnolds, your Mo Salahs to, have a players-only meeting. From the preseason, it was said that Slot doesn't go into the players, into the change room, that's the players' area where they're able to talk amongst themselves. So hopefully there's some harsh self-reflection and some smacks upside the head for everybody on that, because nobody holds their head up high after that.
A bit more Slot chat. We only have ourselves. We only have to look at ourselves. We have to be better. Far too many times we lost the ball around the area. It was not good enough. The result frustrates me the most, and we cannot be happy about the game. Happy about how the game went. It was a stop-start game, and we hardly created any chances. I mean, this is all paint by numbers answers. So at least there's no sort of excuses. I suppose, Kev, it's easier to be elaborate after a win, saying this is what we expected, this is what we did, this is how we did things. I'd be intrigued if he'd ever just come out and say, well, this is what we expected and this is how we didn't cope very well. The only thing he let slip probably before the game was, I think he sort of said, oh, they're playing different wingers today, but we'll adapt to that. So they clearly had an idea of who Forrest were going to play, and I don't think he was expecting those two to start. That did. But
look, Matt spotted something to do with Robertson. I spotted it, and I said it to you in the game. The amount of times he ended up inverted as almost like a second striker was a design. It was an absolutely stupid idea because
if you're going to make someone a second striker, it'd be Trent, wouldn't it?
But it's not just that. He's not Jordi Alba. He's not Alphonso Davies. If you move Andy Robertson on the overlap and swap him with Diaz becoming the second striker, suddenly you have a much bigger threat and a much more dangerous player in the final third. I don't get the logic and the thought process that Slot was trying to achieve by trying that. And it just made no sense. Luis Diaz is in the form of his life, come off a really good international break in the main part, been flying up until today. And you got Andy Robertson, who's been really good at overlapping and forcing Forrest. He on the overlap would have forced Forrest to play wider, that back five to be wider. Instead, by him being inverted, it allowed them to close up because Luis Diaz wasn't going to go on the outside. He's going to cut back to try to whip in his shot. And that pushes their back five closer together because Mo Salah's on the other side doing exactly the same. And nobody went on the overlap with Salah. Not one. So, I mean, this was the plan from the outset because they did it for an hour. And that I'm glad that we've got a game coming up on Tuesday to get this out of our system. But that, to me, tactically made no sense whatsoever. And look, it'll all come out in the wash in the end. But ultimately, he's going to have to make changes for Tuesday night. And
I hope they're not the changes that we saw, though, in that format.
No, it's changes in how to build up play. That's all it is. If you're playing against a side who are going to be a low block and who are going to play in a back five and play 5-3-2, when you're playing 5-4 or 4-2-3-1, then one of your centre mids, your holding centre mids, has to advance and try to get involved to almost create 2 10s to leave one sitting at the base of it that you play through. But that didn't seem to happen. It was just Trent coming in like he inverted most of last season, which is okay if he's picking passes. But when you only got Diogo Jota to hit, against 3 centre-halves who are man-marking, one of them was man-marking him. Ryan Gravenberch in the 6 was man-marked by Morgan Gibbs-White all game. So they couldn't really get the ball into him. And you didn't see anyone or someone from the sideline roaring at McAllister to drop in to create the extra man to be able to build out through the middle that way. Nuno Espirito Santo did a job on us today, tactically and technically with his substitutions. And Slot needs to learn quickly from it because other managers will look at that and we will not. This is not the first time we're going to be facing that this season. He's got to work out a way of getting around it.
I don't think any of us would put Nuno at like the very top of tactical managers in this league either.
No, but he's a good coach.
He is.
But he's a good coach.
And I'll give him his flowers for he did set them up, and he's made them hard to beat this year. Like they're undefeated. So credit where credit is due. But, we saw a low block today. We're going to need to figure out how to deal with that going forward. And we are going to be coming up against more astute managers than Nuno.
Well, yeah, it was probably at the weekend. Probably Tuesday. And actually at the weekend because I think Bournemouth's manager is a clever manager. I suppose we keep going over and over about the game. I'll just say it now. Some of the chants of the Forest fans, get in the bin, lads. Honestly, I can't have you putting a flag up saying no more tragedy chanting, and then it starts within 5-10 minutes. Give it a rest. Honestly, I'm bored. I'm bored of people talk it happening still. In this day and age. But actually, back to the football then. We said we expect changes for Tuesday. Full disclosure, I thought today was the day we play changes because that 11 that started today is what I thought would start away at Milan. I thought the side that played so well against United will probably play against Milan because that's, on paper, a harder test than Forest. But I have no idea what he's going to change now because there's no one who came on, you went, oh, thank Christ, he's coming on, with the way they performed.
I don't know. Like I said, like as long as we don't start with those three at the back, like that'll be an improvement because I honestly will just probably hide. I don't know. At this rate, I kind of just expect him to pick the same 11. Like I'd love for him to prove us wrong and show that he learns from this and figures out a way to integrate. But I mean, you're talking what, like 2 days before they're actually on the field, and that includes a day of travel. Like, how much is he actually going to be able to switch up from this? Like, I thought this was going to be like a dry run for, you know, maybe some changes that we might see going forward. We didn't see that. So I don't know. I genuinely have no idea what he's going to put on the pitch. If I had to put money on it, I'd probably say the same starting 11, unfortunately.
Yeah. Actually brought up here a quote from Allison. I'll read that out. I can't say it's a quote I like to say. We played better than the opponent and didn't deserve to lose. That, to me, Kev and Matt, strikes off entitled FC 101. How dare we play better than Forest and not lose? They did play better than Forest because we couldn't pass the ball for 5 yards, and we left ourselves wide open. They knew how to hit you on the break, and stuff like that annoys me. It's just take it up and say you didn't play well, because guess what? We all watched it. We didn't play well.
Well, we created enough chances in the first half to force their keeper into good saves, and they had one. Well, no, they probably had 3 really good chances, all in the second half, and they finished one of them. At the end of the day, I can't argue with the fact that Forest got their first 3 points at Anfield in the league since 1969. I can't argue with it, because ultimately our 11 plus 5 subs didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. They didn't force enough chances. They didn't create enough, and ultimately got what we deserved.
Okay, a couple more Allison quotes. We gave that too easily when they scored. It was poor defensively from us. We couldn't create much. We had a lack of quality today. We need more energy. It's 3 points we have lost. And there's a line up there just before that, which says, it was a shame losing points at home is not good at all, but the opponent today only wanted to defend and play long balls. Ali, that's the fucking game, mate. You know, Guess what? They're like, clubs can play whatever way they want. If you want to be competing at the top end, you find a way to adapt to that. And let's be honest, it's not the first time people have come to Anfield and played that way. It's quite a routine thing. City face it all the time. Arsenal face it all the time. All the opportunities we had were not clear enough, and they defended great, which is true. They threw themselves in front of the ball. They did. Yeah.
I wish we did.
Wish we did. Yeah. Look, they have a way of playing. Whether you like it, you don't like it. We can all be like.
Yeah, but they're not going to show up and play the way we want them to play.
No, because sides that do that end up like Burnley or Southampton have been. They get humbled because it's stupid. You wouldn't do that unless you're Man City or Arsenal. Then you will play your way against Liverpool because you back your players. But it's just bizarre. Matt, what do you want to see happen? Should we start Endo? We can't blame him. He didn't come on. I don't think that's the answer, though.
I mean, at a certain point, he's going to play games. Like, especially now with Elliott being down. I think seeing Trent move into midfield after Bradley came on, I think might be a little indication that we might see a little bit more of Trent in midfield than I certainly would have thought after the first 3 games. But like Kev said, 7 games in 22 days. Like you're gonna have to use that squad. So yeah, there's gonna be some changes. I think Kwanzaa will come back in on Tuesday. He's due to start, get back on the horse. I mean, I don't think he's had a minute since he got taken off at halftime against Ipswich.
He played twice I think he played some 21s, didn't he?
Yeah, he got man of the match for the under-21s in one of their matches in the international break. So, I mean, that's good for him. So it's time to get him reintegrated back into the team. I wouldn't be surprised to probably see Bradley start instead of Trent. And then you've got to imagine at some point Darwin and Gakpo are going to go from the start. So we might see something like that. Maybe a little bit of Curtis Jones. But I don't know. It's tough to say. Every time last season when we did one of these shows where we had a weekend game and then a midweek game, it was like, we're going to have 5 or 6 changes, and then you wouldn't. And then you'd go through another run where there was a run last season where we were making like 6-7 changes every match and really cycling the team through. But I have no idea what to expect from Arne Slot because, he didn't have this experience really at Feyenoord. He really rode his first choice 11, very much like Mikel Arteta would do. So yeah, who knows? We have to rebound. I mean, Dan Austin came into the chat late and says, we need to bounce back from this quickly. So, hey, 3 days, turn around and let's go again. So,
just to cheer us all up, it's Villa 0, Everton 2.
Yes.
It's a,
the weekend's results have been terrible.
Let's wait until the game's actually over for Everton before we get excited.
To be honest,
even
an
Everton, 86 minute.
Yeah, even an Everton
word.
mess up would not cheer me up today. They only cheer me up when we've won. So
look, I on Tuesday night I expect to see at least 4 changes, and I expect to see another 4 changes for the weekend, and another 3 or 4 changes. No,
I don't think Keller plays apart from.
No, I don't think Keller might play in the West Ham game in the League Cup, and that'll be about all we'll see of him until the next League Cup fixture. But I fully expect to see a rotation in the starting 11 from here on out. I don't know, was it Matt or someone in the chat might have said it. You did not need 4 defenders on the bench. You were due. You were due, weren't you?
I was due one, yeah. But I mean, listen, maybe Kaiser isn't.
Maybe he isn't match fit. That's fine.
But you definitely don't need 4 defenders on the bench.
No.
Especially keeping Joe Gomez. That is your utility defender. Kwanzaa's your main centre back. I think then you just make a choice, Bradley or Tsimikas, and then you have another attacking option or midfield option on the bench. Listen, would it make a difference today? Probably not.
Wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference to them.
I just meant in general going forward.
Yeah. Look,
when K's up to scratch, I expect to see one of those 4 defenders.
At least it's not the AC Milan of Kaká and that lot. It's not a vintage AC Milan side, but they're a good side. And it'll be a different game. It'll be a completely different game. And the difference is this time with Europe. It's not a case like where before we played in Europe, you go and win your first 4 games and then you take your foot off the accelerator and you rotate in the last 2. This time round, it's going to be foot to the floor for 8 games because you need to get as many points as possible to make sure that you're not in the knockout games at the back end of February. So, Eddie 11.
The only time you may be able to rotate Kev or take 4 guys in maybe the last 2 if you've done brilliant in the first 6, because then you kind of know it's mathematically possible for us to drop out the top 6.
But we're a mile away from that.
That's an extreme. I'm saying that's an extreme to happen.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we're a mile away from that. So the 11 that he puts out against Milan will need to be strong. It'll need to be good enough to go and get a result. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Chiesa on the bench for that one.
Yeah, I hope so. I was kind of hoping to see him at some point today, just because he's a good player. But
I mean, I would have liked to see him come on for Mo Salah today because
I
think he probably should have gotten hooked.
Yeah, he just didn't have a good game.
Yeah,
to be honest, let's talk man of the match then. Well, maybe we can't do man because we know we do man of the match, honourable mention, and could do better. We might have to do best of the shite, utter shite, and needs a rest. I'll put it that way.
Well, I'll give you man of the match. We've got a not Forrest fan. It seems like Jeff G here in the chat says our back 4 had your wingers in pocket today. We got a result on another day. You would smash us. And in response to that, I completely agree. Like I think that Alex Moreno and especially Ala Aina did well. I think Ala Aina was man of the match. He was excellent. His tackling against Diaz, who we know can be tricky down that side, getting doubled up on with Robertson and Diaz coming out against him, and he pretty much didn't lose a battle going down that side.
He was very good.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. And Moreno is, as much as we love Mo Salah can get pocketed by a fullback. We've seen it many times over many years. The flip side of that is, hundreds of goals. But it's in terms of that wing battle today, their fullbacks definitely got the best out of our wingers. So I would give Aina man of the match. For us, Oy. Man, that's tough.
The ones I thought we were all
Maybe
right were Virgil and Allison.
I was gonna say Virgil. He had one bad giveaway. Like Kev mentioned, they had like two chances, and then they scored. And one of those came from Virgil giving the ball away poorly in the middle of the park. And that's the one I think Morgan Gibbs-White shot it well wide, just about went out for a throw-in sort of thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought, like, in terms of winning his battles and stuff like that, I thought Van Dijk was okay. Honorable mention would be Konate, and needs to do better would be literally everybody else except for Allison.
Okay. Actually, you can stick with the original format, or you can just talk about
how
take your
shite
pick.
everyone is.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I mean, there were a few. Like, I think if you were to split it into the first half and the second half, I might be able to give you like some decent honorable mentions. Like, I do think Virgil had a good first half. I think Ali made a few saves that I will commend. I think once that second half ticked over, like, everything just crashed and burned. I think Szoboszlai looks like he could use a rest.
I'll say what we'll talk about Szoboszlai in a minute. I've got my
He's the one that I think could use a rest. And then everyone else really has a big chunk to improve for the next game.
Gravenberch was decent. I thought Gravenberch was okay. I think he was left a bit too exposed at times, but I think he was okay.
He didn't really stand out to me. I feel like he really controlled some of the last games. And I think that was a combo between him and McAllister. I think McAllister actually does a lot of donkey work off the ball that Gravenberch kind of gets credit for. I think he makes Gravenberch look really, really good. And I think because McAllister was sort of off it today and just looked tired, I think in general that too just didn't shine the way it has in the last 3 games.
Kev, go on.
Allison was the best of a fucking bad lot. The rest of them had their moments when they showed glimpses. McAllister's outside of the foot pass to Jota that Jota should have headed, but he tried to volley.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when he decided to volley it, then the ball was only ever going in one direction to one place. You had to go for that with his head. But that was a sublime pass. Salah was as bad as I've seen him for the last 3 years. But for every one game like that he has, he'll have 10 where he's outstanding. So I'm fairly relaxed about it. All in all, I think, look, there's a whole lot of them, can do better. We know they can do better. We know they're better than that. They need to feel that, this one stings and they need to put it right. That's why I said I'm glad there's a game Tuesday night. The games are going to come thick and fast. They can't wallow in self-pity. At the end of the day, it's 3 points dropped, but it's not the end of the world. It could have. It's as bad a result as you're going to get, but it wasn't as if we were taken to the cleaners by a side who we should be beating. They got a break that they worked really well and they finished it off. Other than that, it wasn't until we were really throwing the kitchen sink at everything that they started to open us up a bit more. So, look, it's done. There's no point in dwelling too much on it. Park it and move on. But lessons need to be learned from it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Van Dijk was okay. That's about as best I could do. So was Ali. In terms of could do better, Mo Salah, like you said, that's the worst game he's had in probably about 3 years. The one who pissed me off the most was Szoboszlai. I just felt he had a bad game. That happens, but I just thought his attitude stunk. I thought he was petulant. Overhitting passes, that happens. But then stupid fouls when you're trying to chase a game because he's getting petulant because he hasn't got his own way. And I thought he did very, very well to survive the full 90 minutes because he was god awful. So, but the hope is it's one bad game and this is a wake-up call. But, who knows?
Hey Chris, I got a question for the panel, seeing as that our regular friend Arsenal for Life has dropped into the chat telling us to keep our chins up ahead of the North London derby tomorrow. Do you think Szoboszlai should have been sent off? Because I do.
When?
95th minute when he kicked the ball away after the whistle went when he was already on a yellow card. I think he should have gotten a second yellow card for that.
I didn't. To be fair, as soon as I thought full time, I switched it off.
Didn't even see it.
So-
I
I
did.
switched
I,
that off
I
then.
It was
heard them
like
say
a
it.
minute
I
to
didn't
go.
see him do it.
Yeah.
But I do think for the sake of consistency,
It's-
I understand the argument. And if they're going to be consistent, and if they're going to make a big call against Rice, it would have made sense for them to make that call.
I guess the only caveat to that is that you get a yellow card for delaying a quick restart, and there was no fucking way Nottingham Forest were doing a quick restart in the 94th minute.
Nuno would have ran on the pitch
Yeah.
and kicked that ball again if someone decided to take a quick free kick. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, it was.
No, but I do
I just thought,
understand the
like,
argument.
in the
I didn't
spirit of
see
that
it,
rule,
genuinely.
it seemed like he should have gotten a second yellow.
Yeah. Well, if he did, you tell me he did, then yeah, by the rules of the game, he should have done. But actually, to us, in the sense, that probably wouldn't have been a bad thing based on how we performed. So, the rest of the week, we've got the lads back Sunday for Fatback 4. We'll have a show. We'll probably have a preview show on Monday, and then we are back on Tuesday, where Liverpool are away to AC Milan.
Yeah.
God's sake, I hope it's better than what we put on today.
But
But,
Tuesday night is my last night for about 10 days. So,
That's probably not a bad thing, Kev.
yeah. it's not bad.
Good. Cool. Right, on that happy note, anything else we want to add before we go? Oh, don't
Happy
forget,
birthday to Avo.
Yeah,
happy birthday to Avo.
Yeah.
That's why we lost. It's Avo's fault.
Long-time listener.
yeah. It's the big 100. We don't have a lot of centenarian listeners of the channel, but for Avo to hit the big triple digits, that's a big.
He brings a
Yeah.
lot of experience to our chat.
It does. Not a lot of sense, but a lot of experience. Bless him.
Experience, though.
Yeah. Don't forget the women's show is now live on the channel. So we had Neil Atkinson and Emma Sanders just previewing the WSL season, which happens next year. So all good. So give it a watch. It's good. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until then, guys, take care of yourselves, and we will see you all very, very soon. When hopefully Liverpool wake up.